So in the last video, you would have seen my mix template and you would have seen how I tackle clip gain in Logic, not just on my iPad, but also on the desktop. But on the iPad, it just makes things so much faster using the Apple Pencil. So now I'm going to go through my vocal chain. So my vocal chain will be the main Vox. That's the main Vox bus where all of my main vocals are going through. I might touch on the doubles bus later on the backing vocals, but let's just go through the main Vox bus. So I'll show you how I do a correct EQ and my compression, saturation, and then fitting EQ to fit the vocal into the mix. Yeah, and I'll get it all sounding level and clean. Thankfully, I recorded this. If you watched the last video, you would have seen I recorded this, and it's nice. You know, I recorded it through a U87 in a treated room. It's going through a Focusrite ISA 430. So very nice, clean recording. And the converter I'm using is Audient EVO 8. Very nice. So yeah, if you've missed the last video, please go back and watch it, because my mix template, I'll explain everything in that video, how my mix template works and where it's routing. Obviously in this video you will see, but I'm going to explain what's on my vocal chain. If I solo the main vocal again, and if I remember, it was dry, completely dry. Okay, yeah, so this little window down here, this is basically the channel strip just for that bus, the main Vox bus. And just from looking at the plugins on there, I've got just the generic stock EQ, and I've got mix box from IK Multimedia, then the standard Pro Q3 from FabFilter. Then I'm also using DeEsser from FabFilter. Very nice DeEsser. I never used to use it before on the desktop, but now I'm on the iPad. I use it a lot more. I mean, I've got other DeEssers I could use, but I really like the FabFilter one. Red Rock Sound EQ, and I think that's a Pultec EQ emulation. Then I'm using a FabFilter compressor. I managed to configure it so it's more like a RVox, like the Wave RVox, you'll see later on. And then there's Maze Rider. So it's weird, it's kind of like Vocal Rider, if you know Wave's Vocal Rider. Yeah, a lot of people give that plugin so much slack. I find this really useful. I'll show you why when we get there at the end. It helps just tighten up everything without giving the compressor too much work. So I'm gonna just cycle a range to loop. So let's just choose this little range here. And I'm gonna open my Corrective EQ, double tap. Let's show some of the range window. Here we go. So yeah, so this is my EQ, and as you can see, I've rolled off some of the bottom end, 100 Hertz. Sometimes I might not need to do that. Sometimes I could bring it back to about 80, but I felt 100 was nice because of the type of song it is. It's like a pop song, garage pop song, and I try to capture that old school sort of garage sound. Again, if you want to know how the whole mix sounds all together, please watch the last video. I play a clip of the whole mix in there. So yeah, let me put this back to 100. And yeah, so then I've got like a little dip at 250. And what I'm doing when I do this, I'm playing the song, and I'm just hearing problem parts that might cause me problems later on after the compressor. So you want to go into the compressor with less problems as much as possible. So let me play it for you. Actually, let me just mute the rest of these, and I'll play it. So let me.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a Wonderlust so proud.
Can you hear that boxiness? So that's what I'm taking out. So that boxiness will most likely come from the window in the booth, her vocals reflecting off the window in the booth. It could come from proximity, from around the mic. It could come from the ceiling. Actually, the ceiling's not that low, so it wouldn't come from there. It could come from all sorts of things. So that's quite a problem area. If it goes through the compressor without being attenuated, that will just get enhanced, and it'd be harder to get rid of later on. So it's good to get that out early. So I'll just bring that down.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a Wonderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way.
And you don't want to take out too much, because you start taking out, you can get really clinical. When I used to use waves, actually even on the iPad, in Cubasis I have the Q10, and I used to get so clinical with my Corrective EQ. I would do so many notches, and when you do so many notches to a vocal or any sound, you sometimes take away too much of the essence, too much of the vibe, the timbre, and the quality. So it is you have to use your ears a lot and just be careful. Just focus on the parts that really are causing a problem. So yeah, that's what I've taken out for that. And then obviously the next one, same sort of thing really. Have a play.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a Wonderlust so proud.
I don't know if you can hear that. That's around 500 hertz. So on the U87, 500 hertz, you normally get that kind of sound. From my experience of working, I've been recording with the U87 since 2012. So I'm used to the characteristics of it, especially on female vocals. So yeah, and then I got another one at 700, and then another one at 3.7K. And I think that one's just taking out some of the sibiluses. Let's have a listen actually.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a Wonderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way.
Okay, so I probably did that when I was using headphones. So what I'll do, I'll go back, and when I reference on headphones, that frequency might not be a problem on speakers, but on headphones, AirPods or something, that frequency might be a problem. So I will go back and just move it so that it translates throughout different playback devices. But yeah, so you can hear a little bit of, annoyance around there, around the 3.7K. So yeah, so that's Corrective EQ. So that's what I do. So that will make sure that the vocal hasn't got any annoying frequencies popping out. And let's quickly move on to my next plug. So this is Mixbus, and it's IK Multimedia's rendition of the virtual mix rack from Slate. Now, they probably won't like me saying that, but it's basically a lunchbox modular effects rack, and it works exactly the same way as VMR does. I'm used to using VMR, virtual mix rack from Slate, so when I found out that IK Multimedia does this for iPad, I was really happy. I paid extra for some of the extra bundles and modules. So in the first rack, I've got the White 2A, which is IK Multimedia's emulation of the LA2A. And then I've got Channel Strip, which is basically a G series, I believe it's a G series SSL EQ channel strip, EQ compressor channel strip. And then I've got a saturation. I believe this is the same saturation that's from the T-Rax. It's T-Rax, isn't it? Yeah, T-Rax collection. I used to use that a lot back in the day, and I love the sound of it. This is just giving me like a bit of warmth to the vocal that I might have missed, just to add a bit more grit to the vocal. I'll go through each module one by one. So let me turn on the whole box and have a listen.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a Wonderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies.
Okay, so if you're listening, as I turned on each module, you would have heard what it was doing. Especially when I turned on the channel strip, that's where a lot of the heavy lifting has been done. The LA2A, I'm literally just using that to just give a little bit of mostly colour, not so much the compression, but it's a very, very smooth vocal compression. So that's just adding a little bit of smooth characteristics to the vocals and leveling out anything that's just peaking above a certain decibel. And then the channel strip is where I'm doing a lot of the compression. Doesn't quite look like it because I'm only lifting it up, but this compression is quite harsh. As you can see, it's just a compression knob, so I can't really control the ratio, threshold, and the knee, the tack, or anything. It's literally just one knob, but I like it on vocals. When I pair it with the LA2A and I put it after, it helps me just capture any more peaks and dynamics, just tame them a little bit. And that helps me get a nice compressed vocal that I can work with. And then obviously a bit of EQ. This sub, I think, I'm not sure what the frequency is, but I believe it's, well, it says 30 hertz, but when I've done the spectrometer, it's a bit more than that. But it's nice because I can just use my ears and take out any like rumble at the bottom that I don't like. Just help clean up the vocal a bit more. Yeah, so with this EQ, adding a little bit of shine here. Again, I think that's a shelf from about 2 or 3K shelf. And then this one, I did have a bit of air on there, but I think by the end of the chain, because I've got an exciter to excite the vocals, I think it was adding a bit too much bite on the top end. So I think I just reduced it, but that's a nice ear. It actually sounds similar to the Mag EQ, MAAG EQ, if not the blue one with all the multicolours. Yeah, that nice top end air you get from that plugin or module. I get a similar sound from that. And then also when I turned on the saturator, you probably didn't hear too much. If you're listening on headphones, a good pair of headphones, you might not hear too much because of the YouTube compression as well, but you would have heard a little bit of bite. And I'm only, if you look at my dry and wet mixer here, I'm literally adding around 20%. Only a little bit of bite to come through, so just to help colour the vocal a little bit. And if you know about distortion, it can actually help with the compression as well. So that's my mix box. And then we move on to, I don't know if I can't remember if I'm using the Pro, yeah, I think I was using the Pro EQ. So then we move on to the Pro EQ. And for the Pro EQ, I'm mostly using this for dynamic, that's a dynamic EQ really. On the desktop, my one of my go-to plugins for my vocal chain will be the Oak Sound Smooth. That's not available for iPad, of course. So using the Pro EQ in a similar way, not exactly the same way, but it helps me get a similar sort of sound. It helps me even out, certain frequencies at certain parts of the vocal. Sometimes you don't want to take out too much at certain parts of the vocal. So a dynamic EQ is nice. If I play it, you can see what it's doing.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every
Yeah, so if you saw there, I was bypassing and putting it back on so that you can hear the difference. Through these Genelecs, I can hear, well, in this room through the Genelecs, I can hear that there is too much 200 hertz being taken out. In the overall mix, it doesn't sound too bad, but for the sake of this video, that's where you saw me move that up. That's what I was doing there. I was just taking the attenuation of the 200. I was just reducing it a bit, and the 2.5K. So that's what I'm doing with this. I mean, sometimes I might peak a little bit of the 200, just add a bit of body, or 500. But in this case, don't think I need to. I'm trying to, with this mix, I'm trying to get the vocal to sound really crispy and glassy and just clean. I don't really want too much grip, too much of the bottom end. You know what I mean? Again, if you heard the clip of the whole mix, you would have heard what I was trying to achieve. So DeEsser, again, fab filter. With this one, because I'm using a bit of attenuation around 9K, so that will add some de-essing in there. The Pro DS is just literally just catching more of that, making sure that the S's are not too biting in the air and it sounds nice to listen to. So I'll play that.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. Away. From Denver skies where the mountains touch the.
There you go. So it's not doing too much. Sometimes it's a collection of little tiny adjustments to help paint the bigger picture, you know. So you don't have to do, a plugin doesn't have to do so much. It's a collection of different adjustments from a few plugins that can help achieve the same goal in a more subtle and effective way. So the next one I've got is again, mostly for color. So this is the Red Rock Sound Poltec emulation. Sounds really good. Sounds really, really good. I will put it on and you can have a listen.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way.
So yeah, I'm not sure if you can hear the difference there, but it's again, it's mostly just color. I could upsample. Let's see if it sounds better upsampled.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. Again,
it's all about the subtle adjustments for the end result. And then another compressor just to catch everything, because when you boost certain frequencies, you might attenuate too much in that frequency range. So just getting a compressor at the end to just capture it all, this just helps smooth the whole vocal out. So I'll turn it on. And this is the one where I mentioned that I've kind of mimicked RVox, a Waves RVox. Obviously not perfectly, but to my ears, it sounds quite similar. So you can have a listen.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a wanderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a Wonderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies.
So yeah, as you can see, it's literally just taking down a few dB now and then, nothing extreme. And then yeah, so at the end of that, I'll sometimes have like a limiter just to help level everything off. But lately I've been playing with this Maze Rider, and what's great about this Maze Rider is that it shows me where a peak might be, and I could in real time just dip it and then smooth it out. So if you look at the graphic here, this window, you will see what it's doing if I play it.
From Denver skies where the mountains touch the clouds, a Gemini with a Wonderlust so proud. With every city light she finds her way. From Denver skies where the mountains touch the...
Yeah, so as you can see, that line dips a little bit, and that's basically, it's just dropping the whole volume of that channel strip down a little bit and then slowly rising it back up, but in a more listenable way, which is nice because it's kind of like, almost like a vocal rider where you're just riding the fader manually yourself, but this does it for you, and it's just it's a different feel to a compressor, and it's another way of controlling the peaks in your signal. So yeah, I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but I've been using it in a lot of my mixes lately, and I've liked the sound of it. So that's the Maze Rider. Yeah, so in some parts of the vocal though, the Maze Rider might be working more because of the peak. So if I play I think this might be the chorus. Let me play this.
Gemini, Wonderlust, she's on the go.
And I've got reverb on there still. Let's take it off. Let's play.
Gemini, Wonderlust, she's on the go. From city light.
Because that reverb is automated.
Gemini, Wonderlust, she's on the go. From city lights to where the wild winds blow. 26 reasons to keep moving on with every step, a new dawn.
Yeah, and it's nice because I don't have to worry about any vocal jumping out more than it needs to. And yeah, and that's basically my vocal chain for a vocal like this. I might use different plugins for different vocals, especially for rap vocals. I might use less. It might be depending on how it's recorded. So I've recorded this one, so it's easier for me to mix, but sometimes someone might send me stems, and it might be very, very terrible environment, a very low quality mic, cheap converter, all sorts, and just very poor recording skills, because not everyone's recording engineers. So I get a lot of stuff sent from, their own bedroom engineers and the artists, and just, working on the music themselves, and it's just cheaper for them to record themselves, and that's fine. But it means that I have to attack the mix differently. I have to treat the vocal differently, because I might have to clean unwanted noise more. I might have to EQ different parts of the vocal differently to match, so that it will match. So yeah, so that's my vocal chain.